A 1, 2, 3.
Gonna walk that promenade, yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade, be the talk of that promenade, looking for a star drifter, not a shapeshifter, lots to do and more to see, sweet sticks from a jump tree, oh, oddities, opportunities, free advice, but not for cheapo gambling wheels, shady deals, meet me back here tomorrow, please. Walk that promenade. Yeah, we're gonna rock that promenade.
Hello and good evening for Monday, January 15th, 2024. Star Trek DS9, Season 7, Episode 8, The Siege of AR-558 is over, and it has been for 25 years, but we're just getting started here. It's actually, I think it's about 25 years still. Here on Live Long and Podcast for our review of this episode as we continue our ongoing journey to watch and review every episode of Star Trek DS9 in order. I'm Dave Mader, joined with Kevin Millard, and there's only one order, Kevin. We hold.
We hold.
We hold the
Just
line.
me and you, we hold.
We hold the line. That's it. You know, as Cisco would say.
There's only one order, Lieutenant. We hold.
Yes. In this episode, we get some good Dominion War ground action. You know, where the Defiant is sent off to send some supplies to a battalion who are defending this like radio transmitter they've captured from the Jemadar, and the Jemadar keep trying to take it back. And the crew, or I guess the garrison that's trying to protect this transmitter, has been wiped. Well, 2/3 of them have been wiped out, and they've been there for 5 months, and it's really bad. So, Kevin, how are you tonight?
Good.
And how are you feeling about this episode?
I feel like this episode.
Oh.
I like this episode. But not as much as maybe the rest of you. Well, you will. I feel like it's a recycled episode from the Jake and Bashir episode. That's very similar to this.
Yeah, you're talking about the one that's back in season 4. I think it's called Rapture, maybe.
I don't remember what it's called, but it's I was waiting for one of the guys there to be like, I don't want to die with my face in the dirt.
I don't want to die with my face in the mud. Let me look at the sky. You know,
no, there's good stuff here. It's I like Quark in this episode, his observations about humans, and so there's a lot of meat here, but I find this episode mostly boring.
Mostly boring. Yeah, well, like when I was really like thinking about what happens in this episode, not a lot. But you know, like they really draw it out. Like I was like taking the screenshots as I was going. I was like, they really like let this music play quite a bit. They like to focus in on people's faces a lot. And just let that come out here. But now that you've referenced that Marine, I had to just pull that out, you know.
My platoon. Lucky me. I could use the company. I'm not gonna die with my face in the dirt.
Let me look at the sky.
I want to go out looking up at the sky, not at the ground.
Right. So, like, you know, like I think that this movie, or this call it a movie, it's a TV episode, but it is a one where it's kind of a homage to a lot of World War II movies, old war movies in general, you know, but the trauma and the reality of war. And, you know, like you're right, it is kind of a rehash of maybe that episode with in some ways with Jake and Bashir, but that was about a civilian being in sort of a war zone and how he was sort of affected. I guess Quark has a bit of that in this story too.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little different in the sense that it's almost like, you know, you're off at war, but if your dad was there too, or your mom was there too, and like Nog is in this war situation as a member of Starfleet, and Quark doesn't get it. He's not a soldier. He doesn't believe in this way. He even makes the speech to Nog. He's like, we wouldn't be fighting this war if it was up to me. We would have made a deal. You can't make a deal if you're dead. Whereas the Federation clearly didn't do that. They're not willing to compromise on their ideals. So it's a different set of values. Nog gets wounded in this episode, loses his leg. Quark's not too happy about it. Now we'll come back to that trauma in a few episodes, and it's only a paper moon,
which I think is an excellent episode.
Yeah. And comments here, and we're a live stream here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Trek Trav saying, I think the big difference is Aaron Eisberg acts the hell out of this episode. He sure does. Like, I think a lot of the performances are good. I think They're not great. Just him. I think Quark and Armin Shimmerman is really good in this as well. Avery Brooks, and a couple of the guest stars, in particular Bill Mummy I really liked. Bill Mummy, as I mentioned many times, from Babylon 5, Lanier on Babylon 5, is the engineer in this episode, the one who helps. He's mostly with Ezri throughout the episode. Quark is conveniently there. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that he's there at all.
He's on a fact-finding mission.
He's on a fact-finding mission.
Like, come on.
I was like, did the Nagus send him to die? Is this like the Nagus trying to get him killed? What is going on?
But they just have to get him there so he can observe, right?
Right.
So
they need
observe
Quark
humans
in the story.
Yeah.
They don't send along Rom, right? Like they could have made an excuse to send Rom on this mission, instead of Quark, but they make it Quark because Rom would be more accepting of like the need to fight this war than Quark is. So it makes more sense that it's Quark. And Quark's not Nog's dad, but he's very protective.
Right.
Anyway, but speaking of Nog's dad, let's go through the screenshots and run through what happened in this episode. It starts off with a bit of fun, like for an episode that's pretty solemn and about a lot of shooting, phasers and things like that. It starts off with a number. With Mr. Rom here. That's why the lady is a scamp, as they say. This was fun. As he's auditioning to be Vic's warm-up act. But Vic, he's not going for it. He has to.
No, I really enjoyed the excuses that he keeps making to turn down Rom.
Yeah, he's like,
that's a one-way ticket to Deadsville.
It's a one-way tickets to Deadsville. It's not gonna work. We can't have two singers. I need a comedian. And he's like, oh, I could tell jokes. People say I'm funny. He's like, yeah, but you're not a hologram, are you? Just like all these like conditions that Vic has, right?
Showbiz, it can break your heart.
Yeah, that's right, Vic. So it was like, I don't know, a little bit of fun here. It's like, we continue to start with the Vic Fontaine. Bashir shows up.
Bashir comes in, and I love Rob's last comment. He's just like, forget it. He's not hiring.
He's not hiring. Don't even waste your time. But basically, Bashir asked for a recording of Vic's songs. It was interesting that he had to come and get this from Vic, But
we're in a different world now than it was in the 90s when this was made.
Yeah, like he has to physically come and get this data rod from Vic, and Vic is a hologram who this is all simulated, right? So whatever, but it's all fun. So but he wants to play it for the troops, Bashir, the old Sinatra crooner songs, the Vic Fontaine program based in the 1960s. Presumably, like World War II is in the rearview mirror for his backstory, and he understands like the need for that kind of stuff. He kind of mentions USO shows and those things, that's where we're going. There won't be any USO shows. Bashir says it's only going to be bloody. So that's Vic's appearance in the episode, and then we go over to Captain Sisko, who is reading casualty reports in the boardroom, staring at them. Who's then encountered by Odo. Odo only has this one scene in the episode. He comes to bring security reports to Cisco, and then Cisco's like, I can't stop staring at the names. That's what's I'm going to remember most about this war.
I think that's what I'm going to remember most about this war. Looking through casualty reports. Sometimes it feels like that's all I do. Stare at the names of the dead. When the war started, I read every name. I felt it was the least I could do to honor their sacrifices. But now, the names have begun to blur together.
Well, that's understandable.
Maybe.
But like Cisco being up a higher ranking officer, he's not in the action all the time, but this kind of bookends the episode because they talk about not just the people who died at AR-558 by the end of this episode, but also the other people fighting out of the war. And it's like 1,700 people. And he was like, when you say 1,700 people died, it's kind of like as human beings, I think we have a hard time even processing more than like you talk about 2 people dying. It's like, whoa, these 2 people died. Now it's like you times that by 1,000 or 2,000. It's just statistics, and your brain can't really comprehend it anymore. But all these people who have died. A couple interesting things that I saw here was just some of these ship names. In particular, the Romulan ships, instead of being like, how like the Federation ships are like USS whatever, so as United Federation Starship. So the Romulan ones are PWB, presumably some P, where I'm not sure what P stands for. WB being Warbird, I would imagine. Maybe Praetorian, because they're the Romulan Empire. So Praetorian Warbird or something like that. The Koderiks, the Tomal, the Klingon ships start with IKS, Imperial Klingon ship. So just a little fun bit of Easter eggs that they threw into the design here. So Cisco is off. The Defiant's ready, and he's on this delivery mission. This is where we get our scene here with Quark, who say like, I'm like a son to him, and this is what he does to me. Speaking about the Nagus. We see Ezri is here talking to Quark, although she's out of focus for a lot of it, until eventually she comes into it and says, well, the Nagus trusts you. And even though we're told that the Federation is sharing Starfleet intelligence report with the Ferengi and Zek, he's like, why? What else can I learn here? I don't know, Quark. This mission seems completely pointless for you too. I agree. I think maybe did Ishka say like, can we get Quark killed in this war or something?
Bit of a clumsy device to have him there, like just to be like, oh, the Nagus sent me here.
The Nagus sent me here for fact finding.
Yeah,
and
like, would the Federation be like, okay, we can bring Quark? Like, are you kidding?
Right.
Cisco would be like, no.
Quark even makes the point that Nog could report back to Zach as well. He's like, what? As you know, he trusts you. Why? Why? I don't. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, but there's a red alert. The ship is attacked, and they all. So Ezri runs off to the bridge. He runs into Worf here in the hall. He's like, "This is no time to be running around the corridors." Quark.
But then helps him a lot. Out of character for Worf. Helps him stand up. Kind of walks him to the bridge.
Brings him to the bridge. But it seems like the battle was going pretty well for the ship as they totally destroyed this Jemadar fighter ship. It's they're not like when Red Squad were like, "Woo, we blew it up." They're more serious. They're more like, "Yeah, we got it."
We've done this before.
We've done this before. Quark comes to like say hi to a Nog on the bridge again, like still being like sort of this. He's kind of playing the parent role in this episode. Again, he's his uncle who I don't know can take him or leave him sometimes. He's embarrassing Nog, and then Cisco's like, Quark, is there something we can do for you? You're on. This is official bridge business. He's like, oh, okay. I also love like Quark's little phaser that he's got going on here. His little Ferengi phaser in like a holster on his jacket. Oh, Skelhorn's here. The subunit unit. Yes, welcome.
Yo. You guys look lonely.
Yeah, well, my brother said he was coming, and then didn't. So All right, we're just at the you can see where we are early on in the episode here, Davan. Nog's like, it won't happen again, and this look from Cisco, like, it's not like don't worry about it, Nog. I get it. It's a look of like, you screwed up here. Like, you control your uncle. Like,
yeah. Now that you're Starfleet, this is your job.
This is your job.
Your uncle.
Like, as if Cisco hasn't known Quark for years and knows that, could tell him to buzz off just as easily.
Yeah, he gets to pawn him off now, though.
Yeah, right. He can delegate this to an officer. As he's like, well, Quark, he's not used to it. He's not used to being in a combat situation. I'm like, yeah. Again, why did what?
But
Davan,
he is.
Davan, do you have a theory about why Zek would even send Quark on this mission?
I don't think he likes Quark very much, and I think he likes to send him into danger, like fact-finding missions into the Gamma Quadrant and stuff. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, he's kind of expendable, at least, to Zek.
Definitely expendable. To
useful but expendable.
Useful but expendable. Yeah, like the best theory I could come up with is he wants to get him killed, or he doesn't care if he dies. I'm not sure what information he necessarily would have got here, but anyway, the Defiant arrives at this planet where this
here's a theory on that. That's just Moogie wanting Zek to send Quark to look after Nog because she's worried about Nog.
Maybe
that's as good as any, right? That's better than the reason they give.
Yeah. Let's not send his father. Let's send his uncle instead.
Yeah. Well, they like Rom. They don't.
They like Rom. Yeah, they want him to be Grand Nagus.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's no reason both of the relatives they like need to die.
Right.
No. It's a math thing. It's Ferengi, It's
right.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting choice here because so Cisco leaves with this away team to do the supply mission, and so he takes Ezri and Nog and Bashir. No security officer whatsoever. Doesn't take Worf. He leaves Worf in command. Okay, I guess somebody's got to command the ship, and O'Brien stays behind too. Like, he doesn't come on this mission either.
Two of the most battle-hardened people.
Yes.
He leaves on the ship.
Right. And he brings instead his counselor and his doctor and like an ensign who has like almost no experience and is an engineer.
Well, he may consider Ezri having 8 lifetimes of experience.
Like, they know they're going into can you not take a couple security officers with you too? Like,
yeah.
But
they just die.
They would just die anyway.
They would die.
Spoilers.
Doing their jobs, though. Doing their jobs. So they beam down here. There's no one around, and it's kind of quiet. And then things just start blowing up, and that's kind of that's the teaser of the episode. We don't know. They're being shot at as we go to credits. So, and we get our title card. They come back after the credits. They're still being shot at. The Siege of AR-558, the title of the episode. Bill
Mummy from Babylon 5 and Lost in Space and other things.
I wanted to be here when you mentioned that.
Oh, I've already mentioned it. Before you even got here. But they get to the planet that the fighting stops because it turns out they were being shot at by their own people. It was friendly fire because they thought it was maybe the Jem'Hadar. And then we meet this lieutenant. She'll go on to die in this episode. What's her name? Lieutenant Larkin. And so apparently there was a captain and a commander here, but they're both dead. They've been dead for about a week at this point. So she's the highest ranking officer. So she starts, kind of chastising the guy who started the shooting. His name is Vargas. And he wears like that Starfleet Marine kind of looking uniform, like we saw back in that Cisco episode. He doesn't wear like the gray top like the rest of them. So he might be a different kind of a Starfleet.
He's a Mako.
Yeah. He's a Mako, perhaps. They don't explain it, but yeah, he's like playing that traditional like jarhead kind of like traumatized soldier. Just the way he talks.
He's not good.
Yeah, he's having a rough time.
I'm not gonna let it cloud my rating on this episode, but he's not good.
he's a little two-dimensional. Yeah, like he's not as he's the way that he kind of comes across here, just a little too on the nose.
Just a little awkward or something. It's just like there's something about his delivery is just very like forced or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's a great actor and he's gone on to do other things, but it's clunky.
Look that up. Yeah, a little clunky, a little like I guess cartoonish. I guess is how he feels to me. You know, just like that Marine back in like the Cisco episode, like the Jake and Bashir episode, which we were kind of referencing Davan as being something that this episode feels similar to in some notes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? And so the lieutenant says, "Don't worry about Vargas. He's a little rattled. You know, we've been here for 5 months, and we're supposed to be rotated out every 90 days, and it's kind, you know, we're having a rough go here." And we find out why they're doing this at all. We see that this is the transmitter. This is the AR-558. It's a Dominion transmitter they use to do all their communications around the sector. So it's strategically an important thing, but they can't crack it. They've been control. They have it. Starfleet has it, but they don't know how to like break into it and use it for anything useful. So they're still working on that, you know. And she says, "Hey, do you know when we're gonna get more replacements, Cisco?" He's like, "Nope. I think you're gonna have to just hold this till you can." I was like, "Why don't you bring down some of your Defiant people to like sub these people out or whatever?" But
it's like, well, no, we like those people.
Yeah, no, these were people we don't like. You know, just like the Grand Nagus.
There's a few rockstar officers on this crew down here, though.
So the Federation, we're to believe, then has a shortage of people and a shortage of ships all the time.
Yeah,
they're in war,
but yet they're a force in the quadrant.
Yeah. One question I get here is Norman's asking why a counselor and why doesn't Kira come on this mission?
Kira's a good choice.
You know, there was a lot of people they left on the bench for this one, and they brought some interesting choices, I think, in this one. Anyway, Bill Mummy, guys, he makes his first on-screen appearance here as the engineer. I'm trying to remember his character's name.
Kelvin or something like that, or Keldon.
Keldon. Hold on, what is it?
Kevin.
It starts with a K for sure. Bill Mummy is Kellen. Kellen, yeah. So he's trying to like break into the transmitter. He ends up becoming friends with Esri because Esri hands him a tool and says, "Well, I used to be an engineer, but not anymore." You know, and he's like, "Well, that's good enough for me because most of my unit is dead." You know, so then we get a scene here with Nog, who's looking at one of the other soldiers who's here. He's got all the Ketracel white tubes around his neck. They're kind of like those, I guess, pulling ears off people, like, you know, in Vietnam or something like that. Carnassian neck bones, like the trophies of war. I guess this is something that people do, soldiers do. Never having been one, I don't really know. But anyway, Quark comes here to have a chat here with Nog. You know, he's like, "You admire these people? Like, are you trying to get their respect because they're a bunch of animals and stuff like that?" He's like, look at those Ketracel white tubes. He killed those Jem'Hadar. You know, he earned those. And Quark's like, "Yeah, that's a little fucked up. I'm sorry to tell you, Nog."
He's like, "You a year ago, you'd have thought that was fucked up. What did they teach you at that school?" It's like,
yeah. It's just
like Quark. This is a really great Quark episode.
It is a good Quark episode. It shows how Quark not being that heroic type, not believing in idealism above all things. You know, he's way more of a compromiser, way more of a pragmatic approach, and he's just like, no, this is. But he's not violent. Quark is not violent.
He's not naive,
no,
and he's not, and he's very thoughtful though as well. Like he's a smart guy. He's a smart, capable guy. You know?
Right. Well, I think that the speech he gives here, you know, is one of the best in all of Star Trek.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about humans. They're a wonderful, friendly people, as long as their bellies are full and their holosuites are working. But take away their creature comforts, deprive them of food, sleep, sonic showers, put their lives in jeopardy over an extended period of time, and those same friendly, intelligent, wonderful people will become as nasty and as violent as the most bloodthirsty Klingon.
That's right.
It's true. I
Yeah,
have proof. Look,
Yep.
bloodthirst.
that's a baby.
The bloodthirst. Look at it.
Oh, you can see it.
You can see it. Because you've been deprived of what? What? I don't know.
Well, but, just like talk about, I don't know if this is only humans. I think almost any of these sentient species, if you deprive them of food, I think if you deprive the Ferengi of food and comfort, and
No,
all
they
those
just
things.
get annoying. They would get so annoying if you
Like Quark when he was when they were taken hostage. Remember, it was Cisco and Quark and that Vortex.
They were camping or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Quark is not the brave one or anything else, but he's like, but Quark says to him, like, look around. Don't you know I'm right? These people are broken. These people are, you might think that they're heroes, but they're not. They're just bloodthirsty. They're vicious. They're animals. Right. And Nog just goes, I feel sorry for the Jem'Hadar, because Nog is fully in on this. He doesn't think that anything bad's going to happen to him. Right. But it will. And that will be explored in a future episode. But I do like this setup that they do here in all of this, right? Like that Nog is kind of feeling invincible at this point, because he doesn't think that he's got the plot. He thinks he has the plot armor, So then the next scene here is with Vargas, our GI guy who, is a little irritable. Bashir gives him a few hypo sprays to take away the pain and whatever else he's dealing with. He tries to get at this bandage on his arm to treat a wound, and then the guy grabs him. Vargas grabs Bashir and puts a phaser right up to his chin and threatens to kill him. Might be a sign he's a little unhinged. Now, if only there was a counselor on this mission who could go talk to him.
There is for sure. But she's more interested in Kellen.
She's more interested in Kellen, who seems well adjusted. So I don't know.
Maybe it's her day off. I don't know.
She's an engineer in this episode, like pretty much the entire episode.
She becomes an engineer because O'Brien had to stay on the ship. So.
God damn it, I love this episode. Stop poking holes.
It's just right. I just don't understand what Ira Stephen Bear and Hans Bleimler were thinking. Like, okay, we're gonna I like the idea of the episode, but which pieces you're gonna use, I think is questionable.
They're also I never thought about this, but they have a transmitter that they can't figure out, but they leave O'Brien on the ship.
Yeah, one of the best engineers in Starfleet. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but we get this story here from Vargas. He's like, the bandage was from this other guy whose name escapes me at this moment. But it's like McSweeney or something like that. And he's like, McSweeney, he was annoying. I hated his guts. He never shut up and always telling how great he was. And then we were there and he got shot I got shot in the arm, and then he was wrapping up my arm with the blood, and he used his own uniform, and then he died, and then he was quiet. The one time in his life.
One time in his life, he's quiet.
Oh no, I didn't even want to hear it. Oh well.
Yeah. One lifetime in his life, he's so quiet, and then he starts crying. Bashir's like, I do need to get at that arm though. If you're not gonna
is he a better crier than Ezri?
No, I would say Ezri's better. But it wasn't great. Yeah. Anyway, but he's in those days we would have said shell shock, but now it would be PTSD. But I don't think that term was commonly used at that time.
I don't think so.
And anyway, I guess for the time it was kind of new to show this stuff in TV. But anyway, it's quite the wound here on the arm. It looks pretty bad. And then we see here that that cloth, that piece of the uniform from the dead guy, is so significant to him. Then Cisco was talking with Lieutenant Larkin about their positions, and then Bashir's like, "Yeah, I think we should talk, Cisco. Yeah, they're a little messed up. Their mental health is precarious at best, and I think Cisco's like, I hear you, but what am I going to do about it? I got the orders.
I only run everything in this war. What am I going to do about it?
What do you want? I could call it Bill Ross, but I won't." Anyway, so they head outside. They're just like, don't worry about it, Vargas. The captain doesn't care about you or me or what happens to any of us. And then Worf calls. He's like, okay, I'm here to pick you up, boss, but you know, we're getting shot by the Jem'Hadar, so we better get you out of there fast. And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna stay. And Worf's like, what? You can't. I don't know when I'll be able to come back and get you. He's like, don't worry about it. I'm staying here. I'm gonna hold the line. You know, I'm staying. And then the lieutenant's just glad she's not in charge anymore. She's like, what are the orders? There's only one order.
There's only one order, Lieutenant. We hold.
We hold. The Worf also did mention in his call that a whole bunch of troops had landed on the planet too. But you know what? 4 more people is going to make a big difference here. So let's go. I guess it was enough to hold, right? Anyway, so they're all waiting for these Jem'Hadar to attack. There's a lot of tension, a lot of quiet. We're also finding out the tricorders are jammed because Sisko's trying to use one, and Larkin's like, "Yeah, that's not going to work. We jam theirs, they jam ours, so it's not gonna go anywhere." This I can't remember what this guy's name is, but he's like one of the only people that survives. But he's like always sharpening his knife. He's the guy with the catch so white. Yeah,
the classic, the guy sharpening the knife. It's in every one of these war scenes.
Yeah, like
in every show and every movie.
I guess, but in every unit, there's always this one guy who just becomes like a complete psychopath, or maybe already was, and this just brings it out in him, right? You know.
And he's like kind of a giant dude, so he probably plays other giant alien dudes in Star Trek, I would guess.
Oh, probably. Yeah. He even throws it into the dirt here at one point. Because Nog's like, that doesn't look like a Starfleet knife, and he's like, shut the hell up. Listen. So they're waiting, and then so the Jem'Hadar attacks seemingly, and they're firing at them. They're firing, but guess what? It's all a ruse. These are hologram Jem'Hadar. Very convincing though. Is they're falling and everything, but they're like, there's something wrong. They're not firing at us. And we see that they start to it takes a while, but they eventually start to disappear. I didn't know that the Jem'Hadar had this technology, and apparently they didn't know either. So
it's pretty slick.
Yeah. So presumably this is maybe one of the few first times that the Dominions used it in a combat, or at least one of the few times Starfleet would be able to report it back on it. And they go, we hold. But just Quark comes out of his hole and he's like, is it over yet? And then we find out about the mines. There's these mines going off randomly. One of the guys gets killed here. They're in subspace, and then they come out randomly. You know, he's like, why didn't we take them out? We did, but he's like, you can walk by the same spot 100 times and they could still get you. Houdinis are called. Yeah, but I'm like, that's not acceptable. Like that's not something you can. But and Sisko knows it. He goes directly to Ezri and to Kellen and says, "Can you do something about these mines? Because I didn't even know about this until a second ago, and I'm not going to walk by a spot and just die. You know, that's no good." I'm emissary.
Ensign, have you ever counseled a mine?
Yeah.
Talk them out of it.
If only we had brought an engineer.
If only we had an engineer on the ship, but he wasn't available. Well, and Sisko is an engineer too. I think we forget this a lot, but he's also, but I guess he's retired from that biz. He only makes decisions now. So, so he puts these two in charge of trying to figure out the mines. Kellen and Ezri. Then Quark goes to bring Nog a sandwich. They have another one of their chats where he's like, Nog, you shouldn't be. I just Quark hates that he's here. He hates that Nog's here. He hates that this is happening at all. It's kind of like the summary of it. But then Sisko's like, I got a mission for you, Ensign. And Quark's like, why do you gotta send Nog on the mission? Send one of these other humans, battle hardened guys instead. But they need Nog's ears. Nog's hearing abilities make him quite the asset here. So he sends him off, and and Quark's not happy. But so it's Nog, Larkin, and the crazy guy, not Vargas, but the other one. They're off to scout the Dominion camp. Ezri and Kellen still working on the mines, and it's actually Ezri who is able to get the tricorder to scan. So she kind of has the big breakthrough on the mines, which impresses Kellen. And as he goes, well, it was probably Tobin or Jedzia. It wasn't really me. There's always a lot of that.
In 9 lives, I've been a little of everything.
Cool. Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, it's fine. Anyway, and then the team, the scouting team, Larkin, Buddy, and Nog are looking through their binoculars. We see that there's quite a few Jem'Hadar here. Way more Jem'Hadar than they have people, seemingly. And they're like, we got to get back. We are screwed. So they get the intel. They're starting to move away, but then Nog starts to hear something. They start to do like hand signals with each other, and then they're eventually ambushed by the Jem'Hadar. Larkin gets killed. Nog gets one in the leg. Here we see, at the time, the first time I watched this, I didn't really understand what was happening, but it's this scream that Nog lets out here that's pretty like saying that there's something wrong. Yeah,
it's classic. It's like when someone grabs Quark's ears.
Yeah, exactly. So that guy brings Nog back. He carries him back on his back. They put him on the stretcher and take him off. Larkin is dead, we're told, and there's 2 columns of Jem'Hadar coming, which is a lot. How are we going to hold off 2 columns? He's like, we're going to find a way. I think Cisco says, I'm thinking about it. I'm working it out in my head. Hold on. Planning as it go.
Don't worry, I'm the main character. We can't die.
Yeah, that's what Nog thought. But he didn't die. But anyway, so Cisco goes to check on Nog, but Bashir's working on him, and Quark says he doesn't want you in there, and and Quark's like, he's gonna lose his leg.
He's gonna lose his leg.
Are you happy now? Does that answer your questions? There you go. This will continue kind of into the next scene because Bashir is kind of giving the report to Quark on what's happening with Nog, that he basically has to take Nog to a star base. He can only do so much here on the ground, that normally they could do a biosynthetic limb, but I don't know, something like with the Jem'Hadar weapons makes it complicated. So he doesn't really know what's going to completely happen. And Quark's like, well, we got to take Nog to a hospital right now, Cisco. And he's like, well, that's not possible. And then Cisco like snaps at him, right? He's like, listen, I care about Nog too, man. Like, I care about everybody under my command. Don't tell me otherwise. And I think like Quark is out of line, but I understand where Quark's coming from too. And this is because he doesn't care about this war. Then Cisco goes to visit Nog. We see here like where the amputation is. So I guess it's a little bit below the knee that he's lost here from the blast. And Nog, like Aaron Eisenberg, excellent in the scene, the way it's written, and the way it plays out. He's almost like it's not even like he's just like, oh, I'm sorry about what happened with Larkin. I'm sorry I led you into a trap. I'm sorry, all these things. He's got mostly guilt about it. And it's Cisco, who's known him since he was very young, right? It's just like, you did good, man. You brought back the information. That's it. And so Ezri kind of takes Cisco away here for the next thing, but it's a nice scene as Nog's trying to deal with this. I don't know how if I lost mine, I don't know how I would react. So it's he handles it well. Welcome back, Davan. Oh,
you're still muted.
You still, whatever he's saying.
I said, yeah, it's going to be short-lived, my return. The parenting is going to overwhelm my podcasting here in a moment.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about the scene with Cisco and Nog where after he loses his leg and how,
man, this friggin' stuff is brutal. I cry every time I watch this episode. This is great stuff.
It was I agree. A great choice here.
And the music, it's echoey, like it's Vic, but it's kind of echoey and it's going through the cave and it's like, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. There's a lot of original music in this. It's not just the DS9 typical score. They have some new stuff that comes in here.
Amazingly directed. I see why Kate Mulgrew married this guy.
Did she?
Winrick Colby, did he direct?
Is that
this
who
one?
she married? Winrick Colby?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's directed a whole bunch of these episodes, like The Sound of Her
He
Voice.
directed a lot of
Another
Voyages.
episode you enjoyed a lot.
He's good. He directs good episodes.
Yeah, like he tends to these kind of quieter, sort of like tense episodes. He tends to direct a lot. Anyway, so then we see Ezri and Kellen working on the mines. This was a cool scene. I forgot about this scene until I watched it again today. Where like all these mines coming out of subspace. This was like, don't move until I say so. Right.
This episode's very dense. Like it feels like a movie. Like,
yeah. It does and it doesn't. Like it, there's not a ton of story and dialogue, but there's a lot of like spectacle, and sort of tension and things like that, right? And so yeah, all these mines coming out of subspace, and they're like, now we can use them, right? So the GI guy, he's like, listen, the Jem'Hadar are going to have to come through this valley in order to get to our camp. There's mountains on both sides, so that's where we will sort of cut them off. And they're like, we're going to use the mines against the Jem'Hadar to like thin them out a bit, and whatever, and Ezri's like, that's only something we thought only the Dominion would do. Only the Dominion would use these mines, but here we're going to use them against them. And Sisko says, well, if you want to survive into the morning, we got to make sure there's a few Jem'Hadar coming down that valley as possible. So that's what my priority, right? It's not that he wants to kill all these Jem'Hadar, and it's not that he wants to use the mines, but he will.
Of course he will. He poisoned a planet
right.
for a personal grudge.
Commander, I said launch torpedoes.
Right.
Well, I don't agree with that at all, and that's the perfect time for me to make my exit after that Sisko slander I just heard. I won't have it, and I won't stand for it.
Okay.
10 out of 10 for me. I love this episode.
Oh, 10. Okay, I'll put that down for you.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Later.
Okay, so yeah, we're getting down to the final showdown, which was the the final battle where they're waiting for these Jem'Hadar to come. I should just learn this guy's name. I keep saying the guy, the GI, this dude, the guy who carried Nog. What is his name? Reese. And he's played by Patrick Kilpatrick. What a name. I gotta tell you. Patrick Kilpatrick.
It's a good name.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's giving out. He's like power packs, and this is the first time we had ever seen, I think, this kind of idea that the phaser rifles had to be like would run out of charge. Of course, like it kind of makes sense that they would.
Yeah.
But that they don't have unlimited energy in them. But that this is kind of like the ammo that they're going to need because they're going to have to shoot a lot here. So they're kind of waiting for it to come. There's kind of like this tension, and then they're waiting, and then Sisko notices Kellen is just flipping his like aimer thing up and down on the rifle, being sort of fidgety and annoying. Sisko gives him a look, and he's like, "I'm sorry." And Sisko's like, "I get it, man. It's a little tense." Just then we start to hear it. Oh, is this where they're playing the music? Yeah, they're starting to play like the Vic Fontaine song over the PA. We see how proficient Bashir is with his phaser rifle, that he's able to take it apart and put together really fast. Reese says, "You seem like you've done that a lot." And he's like, "Too many times. And I joined Starfleet to save lives." Oh, well. And then we start to see the mines go off in the distance, like the muzzle flare or whatever you would call it, as they're coming at them. I like how Vargas is like, maybe they're not coming anymore. Maybe we got them all. Maybe it's gonna be fine. Wishful thinking, Vargas. Sisko just puts up his thing. They start to hear like the rah in like the distance, and here they come. And yeah. And then this is like this battle just kind of keeps going for a few minutes.
I've never known the Jem'Hadar to like do the battle cry as they run into. They don't usually do that, do they?
I don't think so. It seemed like more.
They usually just appear.
Yeah,
with out of their shrouds.
Right, but they don't do that here. Now maybe like they just did lose. We're told about a third of their numbers in those mines, so maybe they're avenging their people here a little bit. They're a little pissed off. It could be, but yeah, it is a bit unusual that it feels like the Jem'Hadar would be a little craftier than this.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're just kind of like these foot soldiers, and so they just start firing. The Starfleet crew is outnumbered, but they have the fortified position, so they're just firing out there. And so this is a lot of phasers, a lot of emotion, a lot of music throughout all this section. I do like just seeing that blue bandage on Vargas's arm there in the shots. You have that context there. Basic, like I'm yada in this a little bit, guys, here, because what do you say? Like a lot of people got shot. So the big moment here is, I guess, one of them is like what's Quark, because Quark is with Nog in like what I guess is their makeshift infirmary, and he kind of hears them coming. Vargas gets killed right here. Cisco, I don't know, like there's a lot that happens here.
People die, people get shot.
Kellen gets killed here. The Bill Mummy. So Ezri's sad.
So no more Babylon 5 for him.
No more Babylon 5. He's back to Babylon 5. They killed him so he could go back to Babylon 5. Anyway, so this is the scene here where Quark hears them coming, the Jem'Hadar coming, and he turns around and uses his little Ferengi phaser and shoots this Jem'Hadar. And gets up, and just the look on Armin Shimmerman as Quark in this scene is so good, and the close up they get. Yeah. I think, has Quark killed people before? Have we seen him kill anyone? Yeah, right.
Once, I think. I can't remember who.
I can't remember.
Maybe
either.
It's after this. Maybe it's after this.
Yeah, because it's almost like it almost feels like he's never done that before. But I also remember that.
We've done the Magnificent Ferengi, right? Didn't he kill somebody in that?
I don't think he killed him.
No? Okay.
No, I think maybe one of his team did or whatever. Like, he's seen people be killed. Like, I remember that time Garrick killed that Cardassian guy in like the cargo bay. And then he was like, I'm going to make sure every Ferengi shops in your store. But he didn't. He totally was like, whatever, he's dead, good. But he didn't do it, right? I think he might have shot a Klingon when they were attacking, maybe. I don't know, but it's not an everyday thing for Quark at any means.
No.
So Cisco gets hit in the battle. He looks like he's gonna get killed here. He's like blacking out. He's got this Jem'Hadar getting ready to shoot him in the back of the head, but I guess Reese saves him, because Reese is the one who wakes him up here and brings him up to his feet. But we see that they lost a lot of people in this attack, but they ultimately held. We held. Those were orders. Kellen's dead. Vargas is dead. We already know that the other one, the lieutenant, she's been dead for a bit. So of the people who have speaking parts, Reese is the only one left with all his Ketracel white tubes. And then there's kind of like this aftermath where Cisco's here looking at the transmitter, saying this is what it was all for. It kind of it's also that episode where they have the Dominion ship and they lose a bunch of people. The ship, right? And he's kind of saying, I hope this is worth it. I hope, that all the sacrifice. Worf comes up. He's like, yeah, we got replacement troops. We're taking away all these shell shock people. Don't worry about it. And this was a great victory. Good job, Captain. And he's like, I guess, he's not super proud of it, but hoping that this thing was worth it. Reese says, these are all children, these replacements. And Cisco's like, not for long. We'll check in with them in a couple of months when they're more like you. And then he throws the knife away here. He throws the knife into the sand. He leaves it there with the knife he's always been sharpening.
For the next psychopath.
For the next psycho. That's for the next psycho. And they beam out of here. Worf, Cisco, and Reese. Oh, man, they could have done so much better if they had Worf here. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't even think that Kellen would have died. I
don't even think they would have needed anything. They would have just had Worf run out and just start chopping down Jem'Hadar.
Yeah, like this could have gone so much better. Anyway. Then we go back to the station for like the epilogue, basically. Cisco back at his office, kind of thinking about everything that's happened. Kira shows up to says, we got the casualty report, 1,700 have died in the last couple days, including the people you were with at AR-558. And he's just like, dang, that's a lot, you know? It's a lot of names. And she goes, a lot of names to read. He goes, they're not just names.
They're not just names. It's important we remember that.
It's important we remember. Shakira goes, yeah, you're right. That's the end of the episode. All right. So any comments out there? Let's see. They're more mature than Red Squad, at least. That's true.
That's for sure.
In TNG, the phasers just sort of make the area glow. DS9 sparks. Yeah, you do see like all the sparks going off when they get hit. You know, I'm always like, what is like? Do people have like gunpowder in their vest or something? Like, Cisco should have had Quark beamed up. He is a civilian. Well, good point. Like, you know, they could have beamed him out and beamed people down that he could have used if he was going to stay. Like, okay, beam Quark up and beam down a couple security officers.
And O'Brien or maybe even leave O'Brien in charge of the ship and bring Worf.
Just bring Worf. This is a ground battle. You got Worf.
This is where Worf excels.
This is why you could have like brought Kira to run the ship and bring Worf on the mission. You know. Anyway,
hell, Kira would have been good on the ground, better than most of the people he brought.
Yeah, better than Ezri. You know,
certainly.
This had a huge impact on veterans, says Sam. Yeah, this episode, I'm told, it does have a lot of praise from veterans and people who have been out there. Trek Trav says, Ferengi are the most human species in all of Trek, even more human than the humans. Well, maybe so, yeah.
Yep.
Dave, what am I drinking? I'm just drinking ginger ale, Sam. My soda stream that Jane gave me for Christmas. A bit of Ezri hate. I don't hate Ezri. It's just
me neither.
Sometimes they use her too much. You know, and she is kind of their new toy. Again, we talked about that in some of the previous episodes, but again, she's the counselor. Doesn't do any counseling. We're very little.
No.
You know, like I don't think they know what to do with a counselor character sometimes. It seems. Any more than you like, because the things Ezri says are just something that any friend could say. Like, it doesn't seem like something like a mental health professional would ever say, right?
Yeah, she doesn't really do any counseling.
Yeah, ever.
It's just a conversation.
Yeah, she's just a nice friend, right? And that's fine too. So since Adam's not with us and Jody's not here and we can't even have Jaemeel, we got to do. No, we're not doing sad facts. We're doing the Delta details discovered by Dave. I'm not sure why they Deltas. Okay. Trivia. AR-558 itself takes its name from the production number of the episode. Bill Mummy, who played Kellen, was one of multiple Babylon 5 regulars who appeared in Deep Space Nine. Mummy, a friend of Ira Stephen Bear, always wanted to appear on the show, but held out until he was allowed to play a human. He had repeatedly been asked to appear as an alien. His Babylon 5 co-star Patricia Tallman also appears in this episode as a stunt double for Annette Heldy, who played the lieutenant. As a child actor, Mummy portrayed Will Robinson on the TV series Lost in Space, which ran approximately the same years as Star Trek, the original series. Bear took that time out of his busy schedule to go down to the set to see that scene in which Kellen dies, even though Bear didn't usually get to visit the set. He later humorously attributed the fact that he had done so on this occasion to his friendship with Mummy. After filming the scene in which Kellen was killed, an amused Bear announced to the cast and crew on the megaphone that Star Trek just killed Will Robinson. Noted Mummy. I had some very, very interesting and very memorable experiences on that show, and it was a little cool. It was a cool little death scene, says Bill Mummy. And his portrayal as Lanier on Babylon 5 was excellent. Excellent.
He was on Babylon 5? Why didn't you mention something?
He's
Dave?
like one of the best characters in the show. Like, oh man, you don't even know. He plays a Minbari named Lanier. The Chintaka system was captured by the Federation Alliance in the first battle of Chintaka. So that's where this is. This is the Chintaka system. This episode acts as a culmination of sorts to the exploration of the real horrors of war, as seen in the 5th season episodes The Ship and nor the Battle to the Strong. Both of those episodes deal with the very real consequences of war, acknowledging the real men and women behind the last list of names, and they both emphasize the sense of loss inherent in war. The Siege of AR-558 does likewise, but in perhaps an even darker vein than the two previous episodes. Another episode with this theme is the sixth season episode, In the Pale Moonlight, where Sisko also finds herself troubled by casualty reports. It's true. That was also about casualty reports. Reese's necklace of Ketracel white tubes from the dead Jem'Hadar is similar to the necklace of Cardassian neck bones worn by the Klingon soldier Lesket in the Soldiers of the Empire. Aaron Eisenberg, Patrick Kilpatrick, and director Winrick Colby had previously worked together in Star Trek Voyager episode Initiations, in which Eisenberg and Kilpatrick played Kazons. Yeah, to Davin's point, where he's like, that guy's a big guy. I bet he always plays like a big, strong, scary alien. He did. Yep. Reference rules of acquisitions. Two rules of acquisitions referenced here. Number 34, war is good for business. Where is that?
Remember the 34th rule of acquisition. War is good for business.
Only from a distance. The closer you are to the front lines, the less profitable it gets.
Exactly. And rule of acquisition 125.
Rule of acquisition 125. You can't make a deal if you're dead.
Yeah, you can't make a deal if you're dead. Jake Sisko, Cyril Lofton, does not appear in this episode. Rene Auberjonois only appears in the first scene, and Nana Visitor as Kira appears only in the final scene. It's the one part where Quark's like, I bet you wouldn't send Jake on that mission, would you, Sisko?
Jake is not a Starfleet officer.
Jake's not a Starfleet officer, but probably not. And this episode
could have brought Odo. I mean, it would have probably been good to have a founder there, maybe.
Yeah, maybe they wouldn't want to attack it. They never use that either. Like they would, they could just like.
That would get boring though because they would be able to do that in every episode,
like a changeling shield.
Yeah.
Yeah. This episode has one of the longest teasers of any episode, coming in at 7 minutes. So what else? The music of this episode was a mix of battle sounds using the music. So they went to Rick Berman and told him what he wanted to do. He said, "Okay, but make it sad." He wrote the music looking at without looking at any footage. It wasn't about hitting any story points in particular. It was about creating a mood. There's a lot here about the music. The song which Bashir plays while awaiting the Jem'Hadar attacks is "I'll Be Seeing You," written in 1938 by Sammy Fain and Irving Cahall, and which became one of the most popular songs during the Second World War. The song went on to have great significance in the episode It's Only a Paper Moon, which deals with Nog's convalescence, and which also features a scene just before the final battle of AR-558, not seen in this episode, where Nog asks Bashir what the name of the song is. That's right. Yeah, we're going to flash back to this in that episode, aren't we? Yeah, I forgot about that. Ira Stephen Bear was extremely happy with the way this episode ultimately turned out. He was especially pleased with how the Starfleet personnel come to use the weapons of the enemy, which they had previously condemned as vile. We were very passionate about this episode. These horrible Houdini minds, these vicious minds, suddenly we're using them. The whole idea of God is on our side in war is such a strange concept, but it's used all the time. Nobody is clean in war. Yeah, good point. Armin Shimon commented, "I'm very proud of this episode because it's very un-Star Trek-like. Usually in our Star Trek, our heroes, Starfleet officers in particular, stand up to their enemies and take it like men and women. They never think twice about dying, and it can only be one individual against 1,000, and nobody ever blinks an eye, which I've always found a little facetious. So I was pleased that our writers took on the opposite point of view, which is that war is a horrible and scary thing, and there are consequences to it. The last thing I want is for younger members of the audience to think that war is easy. It's not. Nor is it glamorous. That's the message this story tried to get across, and I thank the writers for having the courage to do that. It's the episodes such as this that made Deep Space Nine special." Well said. One scene in this episode particularly stands out for Shimon, the scene where Quark describes to Nog what happens when humans creatures' comfort are taken away, and one in which Armin Shimon's favorite scenes he has ever performed in the show. The finest moment for Quark in this episode was when he said, like they're all great people until you take away their holosuites and their root beer and things like that. Okay, and maybe one more. Nog loses his leg in the episode, as we've mentioned, thus setting up the future arc for the character. His recovery is depicted in It's Only a Paper Moon. According to Ronald D. Moore, in the original story, Nog was to lose both his legs, but Rick Berman argued for a less severe loss, which is why Nog only lost one leg. Would it have been different if it was both legs? for you? Like, would this
I
be?
don't know.
Yeah,
Not
I don't know.
really.
Not really.
One leg's enough though. It didn't need to be two.
Yeah, I think that's still significant.
Yeah.
We wanted to be Starfleet, and because and be the best, because only the best could become captain. So no matter what he saw, no matter how many people he saw die, he was like a train that was just going to keep going. Then he got hit. I played him as if he were in shock, but the first thought that would come into his head is, "Oh my God, I could die." You know, so all well done. Let's get into our ratings. A couple of our panel have already chimed in on this. So I'll just bring this up. Boom. Boom, boom. Okay. 140. Let's go there. All right. The Siege of AR-558. It's good, but it's a little overrated in my opinion. I'm going to go with, I'll give it like an 8.7.
Yeah, this episode kills me because it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's up there with like Pale Moonlight and the one where O'Brien tries to kill himself that kind of emotionality of it. But I find this episode kind of boring most of the time. 8.5, I guess.
8.5. Okay. So Davan gave this a 10, Jody gave it a 9, and Adam also gave it a 9. It has an 8.6 on IMDb. So we're in like we're close to the 9. We're hovering around 9. Overall, so it's pretty strong. I don't think it's the best episode of season 7 or anything. It's pretty good. It's got some moments, but it's also got some boring. I'm just gonna say Dominion War, I guess, is like the theme there. Because I don't think it's any one person's episode.
Yeah.
Any one character's episode. So kind of ensemble. And so we're averaging at 9. So I guess we liked this a little bit better than last week. And so season 7 is starting to rebound a little bit in its ratings. So there might be hope. We're gonna see how this all plays out. Let's just preview a little ahead to next episode. I think we did talk about
Covenant.
It's Covenant. So what is this one?
This is Dukat on the Dukat's cult.
Oh, the cult led by Gul Dukat. They go to the other D Space Nine, right? The Tarak Nor,
yeah,
or the Mpok Nor, or whatever.
Or no, Mpok Nor. Yeah,
Mpok Nor. Yeah, the Cardassians. Yeah, so because we haven't seen Mark Alimo since the end of season 6, right? And we are now what was this episode? This was the 8th. So we're now 9 episodes in, halfway almost into the season. And he hasn't, he killed Jadzir, right? Or did the Pa-Wraith kill her? I don't really know. But and Worf didn't even try to find him. There's a lot of unfinished things there. Just as we look ahead to that episode, do you like that one, or do you remember liking that one? Or
I do, I think. We'll see when I watch it again, but I mean, Dukat as the main character, of course I like it.
Yeah. I just want to also acknowledge for this episode, Siege of AR-558, people in the live chat giving their ratings. Norman gave it an 8. Sam gave it a 10. And Trav gave it a 9. And Sam says he doesn't give many 10s. So there you go. Davan does have a streak of 10s, though. You're right there, Sam. Sam's also asking, will we cover the DS9 documentary? Maybe one day. We might.
Yeah.
The Far Beyond the Stars documentary. Or no, it's called What We Left Behind, right?
What We Left Behind.
We Left Behind. Yeah, we might talk about that. I've already seen it, but it's been a while since I've rewatched it. So we may cover that in the future. What else? Did you know, Kevin, that a very special guest is coming to Live Long and Podcast this Thursday? We are going to have J.G. Hertzler himself, Martok, coming to see us.
It's a pity Captain Sisko frowns on summary executions.
He'll be
Very
talking
exciting.
with the locutors and myself. We're going to be on Thursday at 8 o'clock for a live chat with him, interview. I'm already trying to think of what questions I want to ask him. He and I share the same birthday, so I'm got to make sure he knows that. Pisces power and all those things. So it would be good times. But yeah, Davan's got this interview, and I'm pretty excited for it. So if you guys have any questions for JG, Mr. Hertzler,
I can't wait to watch that and watch you be like, guess what? We have the same birthday. You're a Pisces too.
You're a Pisces. Power. You feel Pisces power? And I'll be like, okay, but the people who have this birthday, it's like me, him, Queen Latifah, Vanessa Williams. That's all the people come to mind. I'm like,
and many more people.
Probably many more. I don't know. So
ask him if he knows what you're thinking, because you're psychic.
Yeah, I know. He will though. He'll already know. How the hell does everyone get? How do you get these interviews? Well, that's thanks to Davan. He's the one hustling out there to get these interviews. Can we get Terry Farrell? That would be nice. I would love to talk to Terry Farrell. Hopefully, we'll see. Trek Trav, also a Pisces. Pisces power. Trek Trav. Kevin, what's your side?
Who cares? I'm a Libra, but Dave will explain to you that I'm not actually.
You're not. You're a Libertarius, but it's complicated. It's complicated astrology stuff. Okay. Terry Farrell is a semi-regular on the Delta Flyers, and she's apparently going to be watching season 7 for the first time once they get to it. She's never even watched those episodes.
Wow.
All these years later. Wow. Still hasn't. Okay. The astrology is so. That's not very Pisces of you to say, Trek Trav. I gotta tell you. All right. Well, with that said, thanks for being with us tonight. Check out the United Federation of Podcasts. That's we're part of a network of podcasts that has a whole bunch of different shows. We cover things like X-Men. We talk about movies. My son has a music podcast called Eamon on Track. So go to our website, ufpodcast.com, the United Federation of Podcasts, and you can find all our different shows out there. So many good ones. And I think that's it. We'll leave you for tonight with the quote, or no, how about with a song? Till next time, everybody. Have a good one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1. She likes the free, fresh wind in her hair. Life without care. She's broken, but it's okay. Hates California. It's cold and it's damp. That's why the lady. That's why the lady. That's why the lady is a scam.
See you next time, everyone.
Now let's get out of here.